Okay, this is not an Uber video. Understand that. So, in regards to what we are currently dealing with, the question we're going to be asking today, as issues against President Biden continue to mount. Yesterday, we talked about the fact that some classified documents were found in the possession of President Biden in an office of his by his attorneys right before the midterms. Well, a day later, we now find out additional documents have been located in his garage. These are, for the most part, lackluster places that are certainly not considered as a secure environment by any stretch of the imagination. So as you see, the video starts out being titled, "Should President Biden Face Investigation?" Now, make no mistake about it, although this is a MAGA-friendly program where I do not ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary, I lean left. I make no qualms about it. I politically lean left. But is it hypocrisy to go after Trump while ignoring what is developing on the number 46, President Biden? Now, are we to pretend that under these same circumstances, take away the rhetoric, minus the tweets, that if President Trump was under these exact same circumstances that Biden is facing, without the rhetoric, without the tweets, you think the liberals would want this ignored? This has to be addressed. Fact is, as much as we were salivating, meaning those on the left, referring to Democrats, as much as we were salivating that Merrick Garland and the Justice Department would hold Trump accountable for maintaining, possessing classified documents, it is now on our front lawn. Whether it was a mistake, an accident, or by pure ignorance that Biden had the documents or has the documents, make no mistake about it. If it is illegal to have the documents, he's guilty as charged. As you or I may know, ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law. Does this disappear at the presidential level? We can talk about Teflon Don. We can talk about Trump never being held accountable. But if it happens on our side of the aisle, and we do not want our candidate held accountable, how can that not be considered as hypocrisy? That's what we're going to be talking about. As always, MAGA friendly. Do not ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. I make the solemn promise First Amendment rights are always maintained here. I'll give you plenty of time in the box to state your point without any fear of censorship. That's how we do it here. Going to the comments. Both be held accountable. Says everyone laugh or sing. I love the name and I agree with the statement. They both should be held accountable. That is true. Trump had the documents. The FBI knew he had the documents, but Trump would not give them back. Says Rima Croy. Well, in regards to President Trump, and it does look like not only did he know he was in possession of illegal material, he refused to give it back. He can be investigated for that. But that does not excuse, just because the Biden situation is different from Trump's, it's still a crime. It's still a crime. He has documents that he was not supposed to have. We can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. If what Trump did is worse, you can investigate Trump, but that doesn't mean you exonerate Biden. That's the question we're asking. Should Biden be investigated as well? Looking in the comments, Trump had declassified documents. At movies, that is not true. I believe that we know enough now to state with a fair bit of certainty that what Trump had in his possession was not declassified. Unless you believe what he said on the Hannity show where he could think into existence declassification. It's not true. If Trump's documents were declassified, he would have simply presented evidence stating so. He wouldn't be making comments like, I could think it into existence. The fact that his attorneys did not present clear-cut evidence that the documents were declassified shows that that is not the case. But I'm not exonerating Biden. I'm just bringing it up. Going back to the box, it is Papa Tom, 775. Family. Good afternoon, Papa Tom, assuming that TikTok lets you through. Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on. Is this our first time speaking?
What's that?
Is this our first time speaking?
Speaking on your platform, yes.
Excellent, excellent.
Hey,
Good to have you here. So,
I
what do you think? What do you think about the fact that for a second day in a row, it's coming out that Biden has classified material in his possession? Do you think he should face an investigation?
well, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
I mean, there needs to be, and there should be, and there probably will be some type of investigation on that part.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean,
I have to ask also because it happened with Trump first when he suggested that on Sean Hannity that he could declassify documents simply by thinking it into existence. Did you buy that?
no.
No.
Actually, no. No, I
Then
didn't.
why do you think then why do you think he would say that?
In honesty, the man has said enough. I voted for him twice. Okay, and I respect Mike Pence and in true. Because in all in all, most people don't realize this. The most powerful person elected, well, actually appointed. That's why this person is such person. Our vice president is the most powerful voice for
You
you and
think
me.
so?
Oh
I could
yeah.
see that with Dick. I could see that with Dick Cheney, but I didn't see Al Gore or
What are you
under the
doing,
Obama
man?
administration. You really think Mike Pence was the most powerful guy under Trump?
Well, I mean, in the respect of our nation, the vice president is our voice. We are the government. Okay. And they are elected officials to be appointed by the president of the United States. That person right there is the only one that's been appointed. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, that position is the most powerful position for us as a citizen in the United
So
States.
so let me ask you this: would you support Pence 2024?
I would consider him, and
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I would consider him, but at the same time, I don't know if he's got the gonads, if you want to call it, to do what Trump has done, because Trump has rallied and rallied and rallied this nation. He has done more rallies than I have ever seen in over 60 years of my life. I've
Well,
never seen
but
a
here's,
person
here's
rally that much.
but as a Trump supporter, you would realize his rallies were very successful for his candidacy, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the man repeated himself quite a bit. you know,
Well, it's
I
just
mean,
like it's just like a comedian on tour. What's funny in St. Louis is going to be funny as hell in New England. So it makes sense that he would repeat himself. It was working.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely working for him. I think that haven't ha in all, right? In all, to just squash not all of it, but squash this fight between our nation. We need candidates on both sides to be brought forward
Yeah.
and get rid of this. Everybody talking about Trump, everybody talking about Biden, and we need to talk about us.
Well, I got to move it on, but before I let you
Okay.
go, let me ask you this. Why do you believe, since you obviously supported Trump as well, why do you believe so many of your brothers and sisters that believe the same thing politically as you do are not big fans of Mike Pence? There's a lot of Republicans that supported Trump that have nothing but harsh words for Pence. Why do you believe they have such a different view than you?
Well, you have to understand this point that I'm going to bring up. The day of the day that we remember, let's say, on January 6th, the
Right.
day we remember, Mike Pence never even had a chance to do what other people were asking him to do. He didn't even have a chance. They stormed it. I truly don't believe that Trump was at fault, if you understand. But there is just too much in the background that I believe that contributed to more than what Trump's words were. Right.
Okay.
And I really don't, and I truly wish with the bottom of my heart, right?
Well, but
I wish
but
that Trump never had that rally that day.
I'm sure a lot of folks do. But when you say Mike Pence never had a chance, you do realize Trump is suggesting that he did, and he failed at his duty.
No, I don't think he had a chance. I don't think he had the time. I mean, he was again in the beginning of the process, right? And then pow, I mean,
So you believe Mike Pence never had a chance because MAGA stormed the Capitol building and interrupted his opportunity.
well, I don't think it was considered MAGA. I think it was considered some folks that were misinformed on their idealistic ideas of what they should be doing and what should
So
have
so
happened
let
was.
me ask it to you this way: the folks who went into the Capitol building, the misinformed folks you're talking about, do you believe they were Trump supporters?
Well, I believe there was quite a bit of Trump supporters, but I
Okay,
also
but
believe that
you don't see them
these
as
are
MAGA.
independent people. These are well, no, I am a constitutionalist. I, in truth, I vote for the person that I believe is the best candidate for our nation or for what we need to do to go forward.
Makes sense. All right, I got to move it on, Papa. Always
Anyway,
welcome back. Good talk. Good to have you
good
on for the
talk.
first
Good
time.
talk. All right,
All
you have
right,
a good
come on back
day.
to anytime.
God bless.
You too. All right, looking in the comment section. Black for Trump. Democrats are keeping us down. Wake up, people, says Pick'em Poker. Pick'em Poker, I'd love to have you on. As I always say, I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. First question I would ask you in regards to Democrats failing African Americans, failing the black community, I'd have to ask you personally, why is it so many blacks avoid the Republican Party like the plague? I'd love to hear your answer without any fear of censorship. Looking in the comments before we go back to the box. How do you join independent? I would love to talk to you. Hoker, 420. If you're not too engaged in the aspect of 420, I would love to talk to you as well. At the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you should see what looks like two people. Click on that, and if TikTok sees it in their righteous stars, they'll let you come on, and so will I. All right, moving into the box. Army vet, a friend of the program. Welcome, Army vet.
Yes, sir.
Army vet, good afternoon.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. Real quick before we get into our conversation, for you folks who enjoy this type of conversation, tap the screen, get your boy up to 5,000 likes, and if you will, follow the program. This is what we talk about. Army vet, should President Biden face an investigation now that we're dealing with a second day of classified documents being found in his possession?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But in me saying that, let me clarify some things because on the right, they want to make this false equivalence between Trump and Biden. Trump never went into an investigation until he refused to give the documents back. At first, they just said, hey, give them back. We know you got them. Give them back. No harm, no foul if you give them back. Trump said, I don't have them. Then they found them.
Yeah.
You didn't give us all of them. Oh, I don't have them. Then they found them. Biden hasn't done that. Biden has said, hey,
Well, we
we
don't
found these
know.
documents at this location.
Well,
Okay, let
well,
them know.
but here's the problem, though. They first of all they found the documents before the midterms and it's just now coming out, so that's a problem in itself. It seems like somebody made sure this didn't make news until after the election. Now I'm liberal, But some of these conspiracies are starting to look like they're worth discussing. So that's the first thing. The second thing is they found documents in his garage. Even though he was not being egotistical and trying to maintain them like Trump, that's a huge amount of negligence to put highly classified documents in the garage, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't have, like I said, I don't have a problem with them investigating him, right? Let's
Okay.
find out why they were there, how long they've been there, what the documents were, and if he committed a crime, then he needs to answer for that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying at this point, he is not on the same level as Trump because Trump tried to obstruct justice by not returning the documents when they were requested. So they're not
Yeah.
the same thing. They both had classified documents, but one is in trouble for basically lying to the FBI and not wanting to turn over documents. That's his problem. I'm not the
Right.
FBI, but the DOJ. That's his
Right.
problem.
Yeah, I don't disagree that there's a big difference between robbing a liquor store and robbing a bank. But at the end of the day, they're both robbery. You're going to be charged with robbery. So it does appear as if Biden has committed a crime, whether it's through ignorance, whether he didn't know he was in possession or not. He's in possession. I mean, if you watch any cop show,
It's
how
not a
many guys
crime.
are saying,
It's
"Go
not a
ahead,"
crime. It's not a
to be
crime.
to be
It's
in
not a crime.
possession of? You sure about that?
No, that is not a crime. That is not a crime because it becomes a crime when you intentionally refuse to give back the documents. It's not a crime to have the documents. It's a crime to not give them back.
So I
If it
have
was
to
a
ask
crime
you.
for that, then they probably go through everybody in Congress and find classified documents.
I'm not going to disagree with you there, but Army vet. Now, I'm assuming your name means you were in the Army, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, appreciate your service, by the way. Definitely thank you for that. If you made a mistake by
You're welcome.
accident, took classified documents home with you, and you didn't mean to do it, but they found classified documents in your house, you're telling me that would not be a crime at all because it was a mistake?
Exactly, and that's why it's not a crime because I'm sure it probably happens quite often. I think it happens more than what we know as citizens. It's not a crime, but it becomes a crime when they say, hey, we think you're in possession of these, and you say, okay, you know what? Send my lawyers or my aides over to this location, that location, and look and see if you find anything because I don't know if anything was taken. And they go find them, say, oh yeah, we found these. Okay, contact them and make sure they get everything back. That's not a crime. You see what
Right.
I'm saying? It becomes a crime. They say, yeah, we found these. What you want us to do? Well, don't tell anybody, right? That's when it
Yeah.
becomes a crime.
Well, yeah, and I agree with your opening statement that the way Trump handled being in possession of classified documents appear to be significantly different than Biden. However, my difference where I'm having at odds with what you're saying is that as a military person, if I just can't see them finding classified documents on you and saying, "Well, you didn't know you had them." And you've had them for several years, and well, okay, we'll just take them back. I just tend to think that you would get in some form of trouble, but you have the military background. I don't. So if you say that,
All
I,
right,
I have only. Go ahead.
here's a military here's a military analogy for you, right? So let's just say I'm a private, and one of my sergeants come up and says, "Hey, I
Hold
need
on.
you
Hang on
to
one second. Hold on 1 second,
go
real
pick
quick.
a."
In the comments, hold on. I'll let you finish. But in the
Sure.
comments, somebody typed in caps that a special counsel has just now been named in regards to Biden. For any of you folks who are in front of a set or in front of the internet, let me know in the comments because we're talking about should Biden be investigated for this. Somebody typed in that they just named a special counsel. So apparently it may be underway, but I don't know for sure. I just saw it in the comments. Go ahead, Army vet.
Okay, so you're private, and your sergeant comes up and says, hey, I want you to go, you and this platoon, I want you to go and charge this hill, right? You
Right.
go and you charge the hill. But they say, I want you to go and kill everybody in that village.
Wow.
And you don't do it. Which one's a crime?
Well, I mean, that kind of sounds like the
You
end
see
of
what I'm saying? What
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
it becomes the one where he says go kill everybody is a crime, only because the military says you do not have to obey an unlawful order.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
second one was not
What
a
I was
lawful
going to
order.
say, yeah,
But if we're just looking at it, yeah,
there's a
so if we
delay.
just look at it on face value, you say you disobeyed your sergeant. So you should get in trouble for disobeying your sergeant. But one was a lawful order, the other wasn't. So what I'm saying as far as the documents is finding documents is not the same as refusing to give documents back.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
I don't
And so
disagree with
that's
that. I
why it's
don't.
not a crime.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't disagree that deliberately intending not to give documents back is worse than them accidentally finding it. You're teaching me that having it in your possession accidentally is not very it's not criminal. There's no harm to it. That's what we'll need to find out. But fair enough. Army vet. I gotta move it on. You know what we always do. Come
Somebody,
on back
real,
in.
real quick, real, yeah, real quick. I'm gonna say this last thing because I saw somebody comment says, "How did Obama not notice it was missing for 9 years? 10% of this big guy. I'm not sure what that 10% mean, but how would Obama know what documents Biden has? How does a president know what documents a vice president has? I mean, that's just a
Yeah.
statement just to dig at
There's
Obama,
too
but
yeah, there's too
you know,
much
it
shit.
just makes no sense when people make comments like that.
Fair enough. All right. Catch you later, Army vet.
All right, brother. Have a good.
You too. Apparently there was a slight delay. Real quick, Army vet, my last call if you're listening. 10% to the big guy is a reference to material or information found on the laptop of Hunter Biden, suggesting that they were involved in some type of criminal enterprise and that President Biden, the senior, number 46 in the White House, was receiving a cut of the proceeds. So that Hunter Biden, whatever he was doing, the proceeds, 10% of that had to go to the big guy. I'm not here to say whether it's true or any of that, but that is what anytime you hear somebody say 10% to the big guy, that means 10% of some criminally earned finances were going to President Biden. It's a dig at President Biden. But in regards to the comments, I see folks are stating that a special counselor has been appointed. I'm about to say Ben, was it Ben Hur? Huer or something like that. So I have seen it in the comments. So apparently they are going to be officially looking into President Biden. That's very odd that I typed in, should President Biden be investigated? 10 minutes into the damn show, it becomes a reality. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 10,000 likes. I would appreciate that. Plenty of patriots and liberals alike are in here. Make no mistake about it, this is a MAGA friendly zone. However, liberals are welcome too. There's no fear of being banned, blocked, or censored for your commentary. Free speech reigns supreme in here. Going back to the box. TikTok com Jeff 29. Let's make it happen. Now I need to plug in my charger, so let me, while he's coming in here. Handsome Liberal, bring me in, bro. Out of the Matrix. I see you. Documents stored at University of Delaware and in his garage and in his office. It's looking bad. At the very least, I don't think you would need to perform a search warrant like they did on Mar-a-Lago, as my last caller was stating. Biden is not being resisted, but they do need to go through his shit at this point. Anything you brought from the White House, we need to know what locations it was dropped off in. Let us just look through your shit to make sure you don't have stuff you don't supposed to have. I don't think Biden is putting up a lot of resistance, but yeah, he needs to go through everything, every box that came out of the White House when he left in 2017. TikTok, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. The question I was asking is, should Biden be investigated? But now that doesn't even seem like it's a question anymore. Seems like it's a reality. You think the man knew at all that he might have some stuff he didn't supposed to have?
I mean, I guess it's possible. Here's what I say to that. Obviously, we have questions of, people saying he's aged and, doesn't have quite the memory, whatever. He can't speak,
Right.
all this different stuff. The question becomes, let's say, what is this scenario to get the paperwork and then to bring it back, right? Like, do you
Right.
think Biden or let's say Trump, do you think Trump wheeled out 15 boxes by himself and put them in the airport at the airlines, right? No, they got a bunch of people, they put the boxes on dollies and they rolled them out to the airline to Air Force One and put them on Air Force One and delivered them to Mar-a-Lago, right? So,
Right.
you know, again, now if when Trump's done with them, do you think Trump's wheeling them out and bringing them back to NARA? No, he's getting the appropriate people to grab the
But what
boxes.
about but what about what my last caller stated that they actually told Trump, "We know you have stuff you don't supposed to have. Just give it back," and he was resisting.
Right, right. So yes, exactly. That is the difference. I agree with Army Vet 100%. I think I can clarify something, although it's still supposition because we don't have any facts behind it. I think I can clarify something that you were struggling with, Handsome,
Sure.
and that was the fact that how do you, I guess, how do you not know you have these documents? And then the other part of it was, oh gosh, now I'm losing my train of thought. The other part was a scenario where we don't know like what was going on yet, right? We found out about these documents for, what, a couple days ago, right? Like, so,
Right.
everybody wants, they're up in arms and want him arrested and everything else. But again, his group turned him over. So the important thing for us to understand is what's the level of security for this paperwork. So there's different levels, right? So
Right.
for instance, if you have nuclear codes or you have nuclear information or you have paperwork with spies' names on it, that's going to be top secret classified
Well,
where
that's a fair point, and it should be noted that both Trump and Biden had documents that were considered top secret to the point where they should only be maintained in what they refer to as a SCIF, a secret location that is under guard at all time. Both of them had highest level security documents on their possession, so they
I
both
don't
did.
I don't agree with that. Here's what I'll say to you. There are different classifications. So you can have a top secret document and it can have minute information that would be like, okay, in 2012, we had soldiers in Ukraine doing this type of work or information, right? And then you can have a nuclear code or placement of our nuclear bombs in our allies' properties that we don't want to fall in the wrong hands. These are top where only certain people. And here's my example. Remember when Trump was caught and they went down to Mar-a-Lago? They sent they didn't send the proper people because what happened is they were only able to take so many documents because the people down there did not have the proper clearance to grab the other paperwork, right?
Okay.
So they told him to put a lock on the box, and
All right.
we will send back the proper people to pick that up.
Right.
So again, other paperwork that still was marked top secret, they were able to take because it wasn't designated, a national security issue, right?
Okay.
So, we don't want national security issue paperwork to get into people's hands. But if there was an army or let's say a military intervention back in 2014 that is already over with and there's nobody at risk. There's no spies in the paperwork that could be killed or unalived, like then there's different levels. So what I think, and this is supposition, right? What I think is that you're going to find that the paperwork, because NARA was not looking for this paperwork, and that may be more the problem, and we got to find the answer to that, right?
Yeah,
Why
but do
did
you think? Let me ask you this. Let me ask you your personal opinion. Do you think Biden is completely innocent of any wrongdoing here?
Oh, absolutely not, not yet. Not yet. We've got to see what happened. Let me ask you this, Handsome. If Biden had said to somebody, "Hey, I got some paperwork. at my law center or whatever the heck it was in DC. I go over and pick it up, and the guy forgot, or they didn't grab the right boxes, or they went into a different room and grabbed another box. Is that Biden's fault?
That's a good question. Listen, I don't know. I'd have to really sit down and think of that. It
Right,
doesn't sound on face value like it's his fault, but at the end of the day,
right. So,
it's in
like,
your possession.
right, but look, Donald Trump sent a group to pick the book. I mean, the 15 boxes, right, and load them up. What if they left one box by accident? What if?
I mean,
What if?
I agree with you. I get your point, and I agree with you 100%. I just want to make sure and appreciate that cornstar. Thank you for the hat and mustache. Yeehaw. But I don't want us to be hypocritical. And that's the
Oh,
point I'm trying to make,
certainly.
is because under these exact same circumstances, if this was Trump, we would not be giving Trump the benefit of the doubt that we're giving Biden. I just want to make sure we're calling a spade, no matter who's dealing the cards. You get what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but I don't disagree. Like, again, we have our party divides, and so we tend to look at our people as judicious or justifiable, and then
You
the other
can't
the
do
other
that.
side.
That's bias. Yeah, you can't do
Yeah,
that.
but the DOJ is not supposed to have that. So the question becomes, once they investigate, uh, like Trump, and he refuses to give back the paperwork, and they know he has it, then they had to forcefully go down there with a court order to be able to go into the property and take that. Right? They
Right.
haven't had to do that with Biden. Now you may find that he was neglectful. It was a bad thing to do, whatever. We might find out that these are not classified and concerning to the real levels of the documents that Trump had. And so there's many variables we have to figure out here before we start jumping to conclusions. I'm not
Fair
saying
enough.
Biden's innocent. I'm not
Right.
saying he's guilty. I'm
But
saying
you
let's
do
see what
believe
it
he
is.
should be investigated. I think we're on the same page. I got to move it on, though, sir.
Yes,
Appreciate you
sir.
coming
Thank you
through.
so much.
Absolutely. Now, the last caller was stating, I don't necessarily disagree with him at all. I guess what we need to focus on, and I was able to verify, I got a tablet here with Hulu on it. I'm looking at David Muir of ABC News discussing the special counsel that's been appointed. I didn't want to interrupt and play the actual broadcast because I assume most of you have the ability to tune that in. However, in regards to whether the Trump situation is different than the Biden situation, which I do believe is the case, as I stated earlier in the broadcast, the American justice system is capable of walking and chewing bubble gum at the same time. It looks like they both have issues. They both have a scandal of some sorts. Whether Biden's issues are far more minute, that's fine. But he should be investigated. And we don't need to investigate Biden from a standpoint of, well, what about Trump? Or investigate Trump from a standpoint of what about Biden? They have their own individual problems. There's plenty of judges, plenty of prosecutors, and whatever else the hell we need in the federal government, because they're pulling us off the damn street every day. Let the shit play out without comparing the two. However, at the end of the day, we do not want to appear biased or hypocritical. As I stated to the last caller, if this was happening in reverse, the liberals would be calling for Trump's ass. So because it's happening with Biden, and also the phrase that Biden stated, how could a president be so irresponsible when it was Trump in possession of documents, has not aged well? Because now he's been found in possession of documents. So you had Steve Ducey or Peter Ducey on Fox News asking the Biden administration, how could Biden be so irresponsible? Can't argue with him. He's using his own words back at him. Very similar to when Trump stated that if you plead the fifth, it means you're in with the mafia or you got something to hide. Well, once Trump started pleading the fifth, those words didn't age well. Going back to the box. Ginger bearded Texan, long time no here. Welcome to the program. Ginger bearded Texan. I forgot out of the Matrix. My fault. Next. Ginger bearded Texan. Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Looks like Biden is in the hot seat now. Think he's totally innocent. Think there's something there.
Oh man, we talked about this, you and I, when it was Donald Trump. And
Yes.
you know, I'm gonna. You started to hit on something with the last caller, and I'm going to kind of, I guess, reiterate that a little bit. Is
Sure.
the merits of one case do not necessarily match the merits of another. And that is our justice system is set up in such a way to look at the merits of each individual case
Right.
in its context. Now, I'm not a Biden supporter at all, but I'm not going to go asking that my president go down with the ship because guess what? I'm on the damn ship. You know,
Well, let me say this in regards to that analogy. I like that the going down with the ship thing. You let me know if you've seen something similar. When you point to wronghoods that a liberal may have done, particularly President Biden, it's not uncommon to hear liberals say, well, if Biden is guilty or Hunter Biden is guilty, prosecute him. But when you point to issues from Trump, the instant inclination is to defend the guy and point out that the organization investigating him is corrupt. You're not really hearing that when you accuse Biden of something. Liberals will stand up right away and say, well, if he's guilty, throw his ass in jail. Why is there such a difference?
I don't know that I can speak to that. That's a lot of speculation and conjecture into what people are thinking that I don't know necessarily what those people are thinking. There's, if they're circling their wagons to protect their own, or if they're running scared because they feel threatened. But look, here's the bigger question in all of this that I think that needs to be asked. Okay, yeah, it those statements did not age well. When you were talking about if you plead the fifth, obviously
Right,
you're hiding something, which is that's your constitutional right to plead the fifth. So
right.
dumb statement to make, and we all have that same ability to use that in our own defense. And then secondly, Biden saying how grossly irresponsible that it was that Trump had these documents, and that was that's politicization or I can't
Yeah,
speak.
I get it. He jumped on
You
the
know,
bandwagon.
and
He
it's
jumped on the bandwagon.
absolutely he jumped on an opportunity because it was politically convenient for him to do so. But neither of these guys, I highly, highly doubt either of these guys pack their own boxes. I mean, come on. They don't even
But
pick
I,
up
but
their
I
own
have
food.
to ask you the question. But Texan, ginger bearded, I have to ask you the same question I asked the last caller. How do you respond to the claim by the government that they tried to work with Trump on his documents and he refused to give them to him?
Well, that's where that's what the judicial system needs to take a look at, and there has to be there has to be evidence of that, right? And
Right.
not just what we hear in the media, or what gets leaked, but that evidence has to come out in a court, and then a court needs to decide, you
But
know.
let me run this by you, and I'll let you continue because I want you to give me your spill on this. In regards to what you just said, which is a good point, that has to be proven and presented in a court. If the FBI, the DOJ, or the prosecutors for the federal government state that we tried to get Trump to hand over the documents and he refused to do so, and Trump steps up and says that is a lie, I was working with them, who's going to believe the FBI?
But see, that's part of the problem that you have anytime where it's a he said, she said. You've got to determine who you believe when you're sitting on a jury or you're sitting, in a court, as to who is the most credible. And I mean, let's face it, neither one of them right now have a great amount of credibility. So it becomes a very precarious situation. I can't sit here and say one way or the other because I'd have to weigh all of the evidence, including the evidence that you and I have not had a chance to see.
Right,
So you're
right.
asking me to speculate on something that we don't have all the information. We only got so
Yeah,
much.
but the point out, and we probably, because it's documents of a classified nature, we probably will never have all the information. But it still goes back to my point is that with so much distrust in government, so much distrust in the FBI, could they ever make a case against Trump, even if they were being 100% truthful, that MAGA would ever believe?
But you're talking about MAGA and you're talking about Trump. We're going back to
But
Trump.
MAGA,
And
no,
but hang on just for a second with me.
sure,
I mean, there's distrust in the government in general. There's distrust in the presidency, regardless of who the president is, depending on which side of the aisle that you sat, or sometimes on both sides of the aisle, right? Or people
right?
that are independent. I mean, the bigger question here really is it's not Trump and it's not Biden. The bigger question is how is our government controlling our secrets? And how are they maintaining control of those secrets such that they don't get into, a basement locked room in Mar-a-Lago or a locked closet in an office 2 blocks
I
from
don't,
the White
that's
House?
a good. Yeah, I get that. I don't, I've said the same thing. I don't get how documents that are considered to be of the highest classification could just disappear for years, like in Biden's case, without anybody knowing, or even in Trump's case, where they were literally all over the damn house. You would
Right. I mean,
assume that
at
it's
least
like
in Trump's
nuclear
case,
codes.
someone said, "Hey, we know about these documents." The National Archives said, "We know about these and we want them back." So, how in the hell did the National Archives not know about the documents that were in Joe Biden's possession?
Yeah, I
You
don't
know,
know. I don't.
and
That's
and
a really
and
good
those that
question.
actually provide the classification to those documents in the first place, how did they lose chain of custody on those?
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of questions here that I think are much bigger than Joe Biden or Donald Trump. Those are
Well,
they're
let
just.
me.
I mean, at this point, they're just pawns in a game, a much bigger game of we don't have good control of our national
That
secrets.
is true. That's 100% true. But before, I got to move it on. But before I let you go, let me ask you this question in regards to Trump and Biden just being pawns. Trump said something on Sean Hannity, which is to declassify documents, he can literally think it into existence. Do you see any validity? You believe that's true?
I think that's a pretty wild accusation for anybody that to be able to say that. I mean, the president and the vice president both have the ability to have those documents, okay? But in an uncontrolled situation, I
So,
don't know how either one of them can have those.
so
Or just
after
to think
four
they
after
exist.
4 years in office, as the president of the United States, the highest job in the land, why would he say something like that?
Have you not listened to Donald Trump for the last, oh gosh, I don't know how many years? Have you not read any of his stuff on Twitter before you got kicked off?
Fair
He's
enough. I
he's
gotta move it
he's
on.
he's always flamboyant and arrogant and verbose and always
That's a
defending Donald
lie,
Trump
though. That's
first.
not flamboyant, or that's just a flat out lie.
Oh,
But
I know. I know. I'm just saying. I mean, his whole personality is like that. So
yeah,
it's always Donald Trump is above everyone else if you're not on Donald Trump's side. And you know, I've told you before, I supported Trump. I voted for him again, and I would vote for him a third time, not because I like the man, but because I liked his policies. As a man, I can't stand him.
fair
But
enough. Trump
but
versus dissent. If it came down to Trump versus DeSantis, who you rolling with? That
you know,
pause. That
DeSantis.
pause.
DeSantis is a Trump light. I think he is more political than Trump is, but he follows a lot of Trump's same policies. But I think I would like to see a lot more out of DeSantis first to make that decision.
Okay.
I don't know that I would vote for Trump again at this point. There's got to be a better option. Somebody who still shares um, shares his views, but is not nearly as divisive. But we're in such a divisive time. Even Joe Biden was supposed to be this great uniter. He said he was going to
Right.
work with both sides, and he didn't do it. So
But
we need
speaking of
somebody.
what you just said, Mike Pence said the exact same thing you just stated, that there has to be a different option. Mike Pence 2024, you on board?
No.
I gotta go. I gotta go. All
All
right. All
right.
right. Look at in the comments. I'd vote for Trump again, Biden was and has been a something. I don't know what you had an emoji there. Inflation reduced 6 months straight, outpacing other countries in the world, and we're discussing documents. Jewel 1231. Nobody's arguing about the Trump economy. Even when you talk to liberals and ask them why they voted against President Trump, has nothing to do with the economy. You don't have Democrats bitching about $2 gas, 3.5% unemployment rates. Policies were not that bad. So if you're giving us a good economy and they still get rid of your ass, focus on why they got rid of your ass and quit talking about the economy. Nobody's complaining about that. The stuff that people are complaining about President Trump, it appears that if he was reelected, he would bring that same stuff back. But maybe I'm wrong. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 20,000 likes. This is a MAGA-friendly program. I appreciate you guys rolling with me. When you tap the screen, you bring more MAGA. You help the algorithms, all of that good shit. And if you're willing, follow the program. This is what we talk about here. Going back to the box. It is Out of the Matrix. Appreciate you holding on. As Simp once sang in the 80s, I keep holding on. Simp, Out of the Matrix. Good afternoon.
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
And not much at all. I hated putting you in the Simply Red video. I keep holding on, but I'm glad you're here, man. I appreciate that. So Biden is under investigation. What do you think? You think you think anything's going to come out of it?
So here's my concerns about the DOJ's ability to have an impartial investigation into Biden, right? So yes, they've appointed a special counsel, but what resources, effort, and what will be the makeup of that special counsel will show a lot. But I would point to the fact that they knew about these classified documents before the 2022 midterms, and they had no issue making a spectacle out of Donald Trump's situation, but they kept it secret through the midterms about the classified documents that Joe Biden was in possession of. And that to me leads to a bigger problem in the DOJ, which is that they don't have the ability to not be politicized.
You know, it almost sounds very similar to the Elon Musk thing, and I'm not giving a lot of stake in Elon Musk, but apparently he was saying the same thing, that right before the 2020 election, that the FBI was keeping negative things about Biden secret before that, and now we're finding out negative things about Biden were kept secret before the midterms as well. This old dude with dementia seems to have a hell of a lot of friends in the federal government, doesn't he?
Well, that's what happens when you're a part of the DC swamp for 49 years.
Then what happened? Trump was supposed to drain the swamp. How did that turn out?
Well, I think if you look at the people that followed Donald Trump's blueprint that came in to the House of Representatives, because we lost by such a narrow, or because we won the House by such a narrow margin, the Republican establishment portion of the party were dependent on those rogue Republicans who followed Donald Trump's blueprint in order to get McCarthy to the speakership of the House. As a result, they forced him to make some serious concessions on the rules, on people's ability to have sway on committees. And typically, people that get chair spaces on committees are pay to play. And now it's where you're going to get equal representation from your elected officials. And that's because of people who follow Donald Trump's blueprint. So I think that we're well on our way still to drain the swamp, even without Donald Trump in Washington, D.C., especially in the House of Representatives. And I think we'll see that grow in 2024. I think the Democrats heavily benefited from the fact that the overturning of Roe v. Wade led to young women who typically don't get involved in the political process to show up in hordes and keep those margins much smaller than they would have been otherwise.
Okay. Real quick in the comments, Easy Mom, you said, how do I know Biden has dementia? I'm not saying he has dementia. I was being sarcastic. In my opinion, I think the guy is totally within his faculties. But in regards to what you said out of the Matrix about the House of Representatives moving towards draining the swamp, have you not heard of Santos up in New York, the Republican that literally lied about everything, including his mom dying in 9/11? He's a
Yeah,
Republican.
he needs to step down, and he's been ostracized by both parties, as he should be.
So you can't drain the swamp while not getting rid of this guy, can you?
No, not at all. And I think that everyone's pushing for him to resign. I mean, I haven't seen a single Republican come out in his defense. Everyone on both sides of the aisle are calling for this guy to step down.
As McCarthy, the leader of the House, did it?
I'm not sure if he's done done so publicly yet, but the circles he runs in, there's plenty of people that's come out
Yeah, but
publicly and asked for.
the fact that you're not sure speaks volumes. He is the leader of the House, and this guy is about as guilty as OJ with a confession. So the
Yeah,
fact that you don't know if McCarthy has publicly denounced the guy is a bad thing, right?
yeah. Well, I think this is what I genuinely think. I think that McCarthy's politicizing the fact that that's an extra vote he knows he can count on, and so he's probably
A
taking
swamp
advantage of it.
creature. He's
Yeah,
politicizing a swamp creature.
yeah, yep. And that's
That's
why I wasn't a fan of McCarthy. I wanted Jim Jordan to be the Speaker of the House. If I had it my way, that would have been the next Speaker of the House. So I'm not happy about the fact that we have McCarthy as the Speaker. I think that he's a used car salesman. He's got a long history of backing out on his word, and I was not a fan of his. So to me, he is a swamp creature. And both of them are. Personally, that's
oh,
my personal
you think McCarthy is a swamp creature too?
110%. This man hasn't got an honest bone in his body. Um, I had no I had no hopes or aspirations. I thought that they would wear him down through the voting process and eventually, to save face, McCarthy would step down. But then he gave so many concessions that are going to hold him accountable that it's
Yeah.
written, it's been voted on, and a single individual can have his speakership overturned within the Republican Party. So he's going to have to do what he said he was going to do with those concessions. Otherwise, his tenure as speaker is not going to be long standing.
What are the chances that Bobart or Matt Gaetz or Marjorie Taylor Greene are going to be that one person within the next 2 years? Pretty great, I would assume.
The chances are extremely high that one of those guys
Yeah.
will stand up and call his ass out if he ain't. It'd probably be Bobart if I had to guess. MTG would probably be second, and Gates. I think Gates was the most effective out of the trio there in regards to getting these concessions because he showed no wiggle room in any of his public interviews, and he did a media blitz where he was just staunch anti McCarthy. And
Yeah.
I think it was his strong backbone that ultimately got those concessions across the finish line.
Wasn't it Gates that the other Congress, when they trying to whoop Gates' ass on the House floor, was that Gates he was going after?
Yeah, Gates is the one. Yeah, Gates is the one that almost got into a brawl there.
You know, us liberals are looking at that shit like, Jerry, I got to move it on, though.
All right, brother. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Thanks for holding. Appreciate that. Speaking of the chant, Jerry, you know who I'm going to. It is indeed a friend of the program, my boy, unapologetic black man. Good afternoon, unapologetic. What's going on?
My ears was burning. Did I hear?
So what's up? They got Biden by the short and curlies or what?
I mean, if there is something to it with an investigation, then go with it. But the biggest issue is like national security said. I mean, I'm sorry, the National Archive said security regarding every agency. Because like what we're forgetting is documents and intel. They come from every agency, people, and they're brought to briefings. Now, these documents, this intel that all agencies are bringing, they come to the briefings. Now, Biden's intel and said or documents, the archives already said it. These are from 2009 people to 2017. Most of those documents are probably have zero relevancy.
We don't know
Things
that. Wait a minute. We
No,
don't
no,
know
I'm saying
that.
I'm
You
not saying
can't say
that.
that.
No. I'm just giving the facts that I know, which are how old the documents are. So I agree
Yeah,
with
but
we
old
need better.
doesn't, in terms of military equipment or missions we may have done or people we may have wronged, 2009 is not that far back.
No, I'm just saying with our agency, most intels are upgraded and updated way way closer than years. Most like
Okay.
you think like nuclear codes. You think we got the same damn nuclear codes from when Biden was the VP?
Yeah. Well,
But
I get what you're saying.
but
So,
again, I'm
well,
just saying.
I
I
got
just
to ask
meant
the
about
question.
relevancy. The National Archive says, as far as relevancy, and when I say relevancy, is because people have to remember Trump for number one. And I told people it was his fault that he didn't concede. because he would have known the process
Yeah.
of the transition. And most politicians have to go, like a lot of people don't know. A lot of politicians take documents with them, but that's a transitioning process. When you're transitioning out of office and or going to a higher office or another state, whatever, that's a transitioning process. And Trump skipped that whole transitioning process. So yes,
So
those
I gotta
intel,
ask you though.
yeah.
I gotta ask you though. Even if everything you're saying about Biden is true, if he was a Republican president under these same circumstances, you think us liberals would be giving him a pass?
I will be saying the same thing about relevancy because I'm listening to the National Archives. I'm not listening to articles or what Republicans think about this case. I'm listening to what National Archives and what Intel are saying, and I'm just going off of relevancy. I agree that
All
we
right.
need better security when it comes to transitioning out of office because that's both of the cases. When Biden transitioned out of whatever and he had this private office, and when he transitioned, there should have been intels and National Archives on that. Like, you're not VP anymore. We need to find every document you have. Same with Trump. You're not president anymore. You shouldn't have these documents anymore. Set if you didn't go through the correct transition. Which my biggest, that's what I say. My biggest concern is we need better security with all
Yeah,
intel
no
and
shit.
documents.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the security is awful. It would seem as though if you take something that's highly classified, there should be a record, a chain of custody, and a location of where the document is located. After
yeah,
all of this shit between both the former and the current president, they need to really, really review whatever
yeah.
process they're using to keep track of classified documents. This is embarrassing, and you
Very.
have to assume that folks, foreign entities, whether
Yeah,
they're friends or foes, are wondering what the hell is the United States doing. I mean, if this can happen at this level, it can happen in his garage. He had this
yeah.
shit in his garage.
I mean, again, like I said, I'm not taking anybody's side. I'm just speaking on our intelligence agencies and the National Archives. And like they said, uh, when it comes to relevancy and contact with those documents, it's most likely that Trump. I mean, let's be real. Biden's documents were found in a private office. Trump had his shit under his mattress with his Social Security card and birth certificate. Like it's just different. It's just different. Like
But
I said, it's
I,
all about security. It's all about
I
security.
don't
You know, that's my
disagree.
big thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree that the way Trump handled things were differently, but at the end of the day, they performed a search warrant on Trump's home. Should they
Yeah,
go to the Biden residence and ask,
yeah,
can we
yeah,
search your residence to make sure
yeah.
you don't have other stuff here?
And I think that'll be another difference is Biden is not, they're not going to need a raid with Biden. Biden will let you
Yeah,
go to any damn residence you want to. Go wherever you
yeah,
want to go to Hunter. Go to Hunter
yeah,
shit too. Like, I don't think
yeah.
Biden is going to reject them from going.
I don't know if Hunter would agree with that. He
I
might be
didn't say
still
he's
enjoying.
not a, yeah, I'm not saying he's going to give his son a heads up. Like, hey, some people coming to your house. I'm sure he's going to
Right,
give him a
right,
heads up.
right.
Like,
Shit, I was just about to get high. Got my
yeah, I was
connect
about to
over
say,
here.
put the mirror under the bed. You're going to have company in a minute.
That's
But as
just
far
baking soda. That's just
but
baking soda.
as far as people talking about swamps, did you guys think that like Trump is the swamp thing? Did you think it was okay to bring an alligator to a swamp? Like, let's be real, Trump is an alligator when it come to business.
Well, I will
That's why they
say,
love him.
and I will say, I try to call strike a strike no matter who's up to bat. But at the end of the day, Trump left office with the statement promises made, promises kept. And when it comes to draining the swamp, that was an utter failure. I don't see
Yeah,
any way you could look back throughout the Trump's first term and suggest that he drained the swamp. I don't know of a single creature not one
no,
person that Trump could say, if it wasn't for me, this person would not be gone and drained the swamp. I don't know of anybody. So
no,
I guess you say
no,
Liz Cheney? I don't know.
no. And he elected Moss all over the damn. It was just Moss. He collected Moss, and then fired them. I mean, he did it though, right? He
Yeah,
elected, appointed people. I think he set the record with that. He fired and appointed and fired more uh, administration than any damn president. The records
yeah,
that he was setting was not, presidential, like not on the good side of shit that you want, like Biden right now. And
yeah.
again, I don't like Biden. And that's another thing. Like, we didn't vote for Biden because we hate Trump. Nobody hates Trump. We just don't want
I
him running
disagree
this
with
country.
that. I
I
disagree
mean,
with
no,
that.
no,
I
no. Don't
believe
get me
that.
wrong. Oh yeah, I know there's people that hate him. I'm just mean that we didn't vote because we hate him. We voted
I
because we
disagree
didn't.
with that. I think the only reason Biden won is because his opponent was Trump. Just like Trump won because his opponent was Hillary Clinton. I think hatred has a lot to do with why they got in office. But
Oh
maybe
no,
I'm
no, no,
wrong.
no. I'm not saying that emotionally. I'm just saying when it comes to people votes, most people we would have voted for the damn floaty thing outside of Liberty tax over Trump. I don't think it mattered. It was just we wanted Trump out of office.
Yeah.
Now, regardless
Yeah.
of what the reason was behind it, again, like I said, me myself, shit, I would have voted for the first damn person that walked up to the podium. I'd have given a shit who it was. It was as long as it's not Trump.
I think that resonates with a lot of folks on the left and some independents. And that's what I said. I believe that main reason Trump lost is because so many people did not like the guy. I gotta move it on though, black man. I appreciate you holding.
You know, it's always a pleasure, man. Oh, before I go, Jerry,
Sure.
I just want to scream out my chat because I see the people in your box. It's about to be a chat. I'm not tuning
All
out.
right.
All right, man. Have a
All
good day.
right. Catch you later. Catch you later. In regards to the comments, K the troll, name is self-explanatory, says Trump did not drain the swamp because you all pushed back too much. No shit, Sherlock. That is predictable. You think you're going to come on the scene and drain the swamp without any resistance? That shows what you get when you deal with a non-typical politician. They do not gauge the scene properly. How could a politician or even a first level manager think they could go somewhere and drain the swamp without resistance? You push back too much? What did you think, the swamp creatures are just going to bow down and say, yes, sir, you can get rid of me? People that's been in the Senate, folks that have been in Congress their entire lives, you don't think they were going to push back? That doesn't even make sense. You would expect that to happen, certainly if you were a typical politician. That sounds like a rookie mistake. I couldn't get rid of them because they fought back. What the hell? Going back to the box. Real quick, I seen somebody said, what was that? McCarthy is reviewing 1,400 of video from January 6th breaking news. That's going to be interesting. Congress Representative McCarthy is reviewing the videos from January 6th. He is literally the first person that went to show Trump support the next day after January 6th. Now, I get folks on the right who point out the FBI is politicized. They don't trust the government. Hell, a lot of them didn't even trust the Capitol Police. Just being honest, calling a spade a spade. Would you trust the review of somebody who was the first person after January 6th to go show support to President Trump? That's about as politicized as they come. McCarthy should stay completely away from the January 6th investigation. That's just my take on it. I've heard folks on the right suggest every damn body involved in that is politicized. But if you're okay with McCarthy getting involved in that, then you don't care about politicization as long as it's on your side. The first person to go see President Trump after January 6th. Many believe that it was McCarthy who restored the support for Trump. He should be as far away from anything January 6th related as possible. He is about as tainted as they come. But if you're on the right, he's your ally. You want him there. All right, going back to the box. It is Bionic Man. Okay, there we go. All right. Bionic Man to the program as usual. Good afternoon.
What's going on, Tim?
Not much at all. Good to have you. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 25,000 likes, 300 plus in here. No censorship. You know what we do. Biden is under investigation. What do you think?
Same show, different person. This is the
Is
same
it?
shit that goes on, and nothing's going to happen. It's like it's
I
Joe
believe
Biden
that.
this time. It's Trump this time. You know I'm an independent. I can't stand any of these people. Like the FBI was weaponized. Comey came out on The View saying that he like sent FBI agents to infiltrate like the Trump organization. You can go back to Obama when he like weaponized the IRS against his opponents.
What about McCarthy? What about McCarthy getting involved in the January 6th investigation?
All of these people are guilty of everything. You look at Hillary destroying 30,000 like emails. You look at somebody like, you can go back to Cheney when he did the Halliburton thing, getting stock options, and they got a $7 billion contract. All of this shit.
Well, you know something
It's
is interesting. It's interesting based on what you're saying. One of the folks that was trying to be involved or was invited to do corrupt shit that refused, we don't even give him accolades. Based on what you're saying, we should actually be reveling at Mike Pence. He actually apparently stayed on the side of good. What do you think of Mike Pence? Mike Pence 2024.
Mike is too religious. He's never gonna make it. He's
But
too
but
much.
I mean, for real though, you're pointing out all of
Oh, I
these folks
know. I know,
weaponizing
but the
things.
thing is, we as Americans, we love the dirt. People love the Jerry Springer bullshit. They
Yeah.
want to see this shit, right?
Well, yeah, but in regards to the loving the Jerry Springer bullshit, everybody wants to be Will Smith. Nobody wants to be Chris Rock. But somebody has to be Chris Rock. So somebody got to take the slap.
Somebody's got to
So
get slapped in the face.
exactly. So why is there no love for Mike Pence? Mike Pence looked corruption in the face and said, hell no, we won't go. Mother, I am with you. I am with the Lord. Why wouldn't you go with that guy?
I don't know. People just love the dirt slinging, I guess. And then what do? We slam them for the dirt slinging. Like,
Yeah.
we all know that they're corrupt. Congress has like an 11, I think it's like an 11% approval rating. We
And they
can't.
find ways to keep going down because it was at 20, it was at like 24%, and we thought that wasn't shit. Then I heard 11. I'm like, damn, there's like what 500 people, and you got 11%. Like, wow.
We as a country can't stand any of these people, yet we keep voting for them. It's like a self-inflicted wound. It's like in anybody in the chat, like you got like 350 people in there. One thing that I hear constantly about these documents, and anybody can Google this, like that these presidents are allowed to keep this stuff. All of these documents, and you can research this, even doodling on a notepad is owned by the National Archives. They can hold this as a chain of command, but everything, it even lists doodling as owned by the National Archives. And this changed because Congress signed this into law after Richard Nixon and Watergate. That's what changed all of this because of what Richard Nixon did. And all of that changed after what he did. So
speaking of Nixon, I've had some folks come on the show because right now, President Nixon, there are only 2 schools in America named after Nixon. I know one is in Iowa and one is out in New Jersey somewhere. That's all that we have. Because of his corruption, nothing in the country is named after him. There are folks who suggest that Trump will have the same fate, where virtually nothing in this country will be named after him. Do you think he'll go down that bad?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good.
No highways, no schools, no USS Trump. You know, he'll be like a Confederate statue. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah. He's too divisive. Too divisive. You know, there's too much animosity is the problem. And, and it's sad because, you look at somebody like Richard Nixon and I mean, I don't know if you've listened to a lot of the tapes that he had. He was a very racist individual.
Well, like shit, everybody was during that time. I mean, what was he in the early 70s or late 60s? What year was he in office?
Yeah, in the early 70s. Yeah, right at the end of the 60s and early 70s.
Yeah, because I know Carter was 76 to 80, so Ford would have been before Carter, and then Nixon obviously was replaced by Ford. So yeah, late 60s. Yeah, everybody was then. That's right in the heart of the civil rights movement and shit. If you
And
were
but
white, you were either for or against racism at that point strongly.
and yet most people don't realize that the EPA and the Safe Water Drinking Acts were all created by Richard Nixon. That was Richard Nixon who did that. Most people
Mm.
don't know that.
No, I didn't know that either.
And like the Safe Water Drinking Acts that we use today are used by over 300 countries now. That's all based on what he did, believe it or not.
Didn't Trump suggest getting rid of the EPA?
Oh yeah.
Just
Yeah, we
flip
don't need
Michigan,
environmental
right?
protection.
Flip Michigan water for everybody, huh? Just put Flip
Right,
Michigan in
yeah,
a
there you
bottle
go.
and pour it out like Cristal. All right,
All
Keith, I
right, man,
gotta
I'll let
move
you
on.
go.
All right,
Yeah,
good talk. Good
take
talk.
care,
All right,
man.
looking in the comments. Appreciate you folks who are following the program. This is generally what we do here. So if you want to show your boy some love, helps out the algorithms, go ahead and follow the program. 11:30 a.m. Central is about the time we do this. As they say, like we always do around this time. This is a MAGA-friendly program. Do not let my name or the name of the channel deter you. At the end of the day, we're MAGA friendly, and MAGA are the preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are always welcome on the program with the solemn promise to anyone coming in the box. We do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. Give you plenty of time in the box to state your point. First Amendment rights, free speech rights reign supreme. Real quick, looking in the comments. Hello from Tejas. Good afternoon, Texas. I am a former resident of Dallas myself. Did you get your trading cards? Hell no, I wasn't gonna buy those USA Chicano. No, you're talking. I'm assuming you're talking about the Trump cards with the lasers coming out the eyes and all that NFT shit. No, Biden failed at the bottom of his class. Trump finished at the top of his class. Trump has the IQ. Wings of fly. Do you believe the words that are coming out of your screen? You believe that Trump was at the top of his class? Really? I don't even think, did Trump claim that? He might have. Whatever. I don't know where to go with that, but I don't believe that Biden was at the bottom and Trump was at the top. I don't believe that. Looking in the comments, fake news. Google crisis actors, then you will understand. I would do that if I wasn't in the middle of a live stream. Well, the EPA hasn't done anything for Flint, Michigan, so maybe Trump is on to something. Doug, the EPA has done a hell of a lot for this country. If you get rid of the EPA, folks, I mean, think about how much money you could save as a factory by dumping waste in the local river or the local water supply. The EPA makes sure that does not happen. And there's no way in the world that this country would benefit by getting rid of the EPA. But that was Trump's promise, is for every organization I create, I'm going to get rid of 2 of them. As if those organizations are not rooted in some form of necessity. Make no mistake about it, we are a capitalist country. The bottom line for capitalists is the most important thing. So if I'm making money selling ivory, I'm going to shoot as many ivory carrying animals as I can. The fact that they may soon go extinct means nothing to me. If I'm a crab fisherman, I'm going to pull every crab out of the ocean that I can. The fact that there may not be enough of them being born to continue the species means nothing to me. You have to have these 3-letter organizations to prevent capitalists from destroying the entire country. Everything from national parks to botanical gardens, to endangered species were all created to stop capitalists from tearing the country to shreds. Haiti, in the Caribbean, the country of Haiti is a perfect example of what happens when there are no organizations to stop capitalism. They overforest farm the land, and the land is now a wasteland. There is a science to farming so that you can preserve the land so that it can be farmed from year after year after year. They didn't do that in Haiti. They maximized profits and literally destroyed that entire island, or at least their side of it. So those organizations do have a purpose. They weren't created in a vacuum. They're there for a reason. Looking in the comments. Okay, Mr. Liberal, what you have your say now. I don't get your point there. Jay-Z dude. Kindergarten and elementary school is full of drag queens. User, quit watching right-wing media. I understand Ron DeSantis in Florida is really going after the LGBT community because they're promoting LGBT lifestyles in a very aggressive manner. But the notion that kindergartners and elementary school students are watching drag queen shows all over America is just a lie. It's no different than suggesting that you have trans athletes wanting to play for the opposing team in every high school in America. That's just not true. It is cases out there where that legitimately has happened, but I would submit to you that 99% of American schools do not have a single trans student in it. So the idea that this is somehow overtaking the country is literally making a high rise out of a molehill. Not a mountain, but a high rise. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And that's what makes you lose the argument when you go too far with it. Has anyone heard about them finding more documents in Biden's house? I think we're up to the third batch. Going back to the box. Awake 2023. Good afternoon. It says funny life would make it happen. Well, awake. Good afternoon.
How you doing, sir? How you doing?
I'm in the trenches. Biden is really helping Trump out today. Would you not agree?
Honestly, I don't think it's going to make any bit of difference because at the end of the day, neither one of them are going to get prosecuted at all, and you know that. All it is a big smoke screen. That's all it is. 100%. It's just more shit to keep us occupied while they do whatever the hell it is that they're doing.
But they're trying to paint Trump as dirty so that he cannot run for re-election. This does make him look less dirty with Biden being in the same mud pile, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah, it does. And I mean, Trump's going to run regardless. He like what I think personally is I think that they're keeping his name out of everybody's mouth right now to kind of get that negative focus off of him. And now it's all of a sudden this Biden stuff happens, and look who's looking better right now, Trump. And
but when you say all of a sudden this Biden stuff happened, how do you respond to the belief that they actually knew about this before the midterms and deliberately kept it on the hush so that Biden and the liberals would do better in the midterms?
Well, yeah, they did use that for that particular reason. Obviously, I mean, they did it in the 2020 election as well. That's part of their curriculum. It's how they do things. I think it's a shitty way to do it, but like you were talking about the Trump thing earlier, like you were saying, like how he didn't drain the swamp because, well, a lot of the reason was not the only reason why he didn't, but a lot of the reason why. And I'm not a huge ass Trump supporter. I mean, I don't like either side right now. But what I'm trying to say is that they had him so busy where he had no time to really do anything else. I mean, with COVID, with all the different court cases that he was going, and they literally hammered him. And no man would be able to handle all of that and still do everything that he said he was going to do. But I'll tell you one thing, if you don't think that Trump has done more than Biden ever has, even with everything that was going on in his term, he did like triple the amount good for this country than Biden has. And the numbers don't lie.
But I got to push back on the notion that they were constantly attacking Trump. They were not attacking Trump because they didn't like orange tanning solution. They were attacking Trump because he was constantly attacking other people. Pocahontas and crazy Joe Biden or crazy Bernie and that stuff has consequences to it. He would not have been having to deal with folks constantly going after him and trying court cases and shit if he wasn't saying Obama was born in Kenya and all of that other stuff. So that stuff was based on his own actions, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not saying that. Trump's an ass. Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't like him as a person. Like your other guest. I only liked his policies, period. I didn't like him as a person. I don't like him as a person.
Okay. So that's a fair point. And I can see that. But at the end of the day, do you think Trump is the best candidate to put forward in 2024 for the Republicans?
With the people that we have now in foresight, yes.
Even DeSantis, Mike Pence, you think he's better than those guys?
See, another thing that your guest has said about DeSantis, like I would like to see a little bit more from DeSantis. I mean, if he were to show us a little more before election and he did run, I probably would vote for him because he does have a lot of the same policies that Trump had.
Okay. What about the division, though? I mean, because at the end of the day, let's take the liberals out of it. The liberals are supposed to dislike Trump or dislike the Republicans. We understand that. But Trump, as the leader of the Republican Party, do you think he could unify because right now the Republican Party is divided. If you got a DeSantis or someone, would they be better for unifying that party?
Yeah, that's why I said I'd vote for him if he showed me a little more. Definitely. DeSantis has a good head on his shoulder. He's not completely corrupt yet. He hasn't let the money go to his head. You know what I'm
He's
saying?
not completely corrupt. Wow. Okay.
But
Fair enough.
it's true
That's a
because
fair point.
that's the thing with this. With everyone's saying, "Oh, we need to fix this political corrupt system with more politics," and that is not the answer. Corrupt politics cannot fix corruption in politics. It's not
Yeah.
going to happen. There's no way.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like
but
as far as like
at the end of the day, we go ahead.
well, I was going to say as far as McCarthy, like McCarthy, he is a rhino, but he does
Mm.
have a lot of good talking points. And I think that if he were to hold, true to what he's promised the Republican Party in this last little thing going on, I think that he would be a tremendous asset for the Republican Party.
Fair. So at the end of the day, with Trump promising to drain the swamp, why are you guys referring? And I'm talking about Republicans. Why are Republicans, and particularly MAGA, still referring to such a large portion of the Republican Party as rhinos? If Trump's job was to drain the swamp, why did he do so poorly?
His timing, he didn't have the right timing, and like I said, he there was a lot going on when Trump was in office. I mean, you can't look past that. I mean, I understand that he should have took more time for that particular thing, but a lot of the times that he introduced us to the Supreme Court, they denied him right away. They wouldn't even see
Yeah.
his cases.
Yeah. Well, his cases to the Supreme Court were about the election, though, right?
Yeah, a lot of them were, yes.
Yeah, we're talking about draining the swamp. That was before the election issues even came up. I'm just asking that you
Yeah,
got a lot of Republicans, everybody from Mitch McConnell on down is a rhino. Many of them are still serving, such as Mitt Romney. You got, hell, almost all of the Republicans that are in the Senate, you guys believe are rhinos. And I'm just wondering if he was going to drain the swamp, is there anybody out there that believes Trump drained the swamp?
no, he didn't drain the swamp. All he did was point it out. What he did is he did the initiation period. What he did is he showed the people that wanted to listen that, you know what, okay, look, there is a lot of there's a lot of corruption in the political world on both sides. It's not just the left or just the right. It's all of these guys. All of these guys are money hungry. I care about myself and not the American people type people. And that's the problem with our country. It's ridiculous. The bipartisan system is what broke the country. Literally. It's what holds the country back.
Well, at the end of the day, which you're admitting that he didn't drain the swamp and he just pointed it out, you would have to admit that pointing something out and not actually fixing it is not an accolade, though. It's not an accomplishment.
Well, I understand that, but would you agree with me that 4 years with everything that was going on with COVID and everything, that it would be an easy job to do that?
No, and I agree with that. I don't believe it would have been an easy job to do it, but I do believe that if he did less name calling, less rallies, and actually more swamp draining, he could have progressed further than he got. He probably wouldn't have been able to do it all. I'm with you on that. But if you didn't get in so many unnecessary fights like Colin Kaepernick and Black Lives Matter and all of that stuff that has
Yeah,
nothing to do with running the country, you could have been pointing out swamp creatures and getting them drained. But instead, he was taking the easy victories, the easy fights, and going after these groups that had no bearing on his success or not.
yep,
So at the end of the day, the
yeah,
swamp did not get drained because he was too busy indulging himself.
yeah, I totally agree. There's one thing I wanted to address with you with the January 6th insurrection, quote unquote.
Sure.
Okay, you think that if a bunch of Second Amendment constitutionally toting gun crazy ass conservatives wanted to take over our country, you think they would have went there unarmed? If that was really their intentions, do you think that they would have came there with a bunch of pickets? No, they would not have.
That's a good point. But I guess I have to look at it from this standpoint. I agree with you that if a bunch of Second Amendment loving folks had an organized attempt to take over the government, they would not have done it that way. But at the same time, without patting down everybody that was in the crowd, I also cannot agree with the notion that nobody there was armed. So
Oh, I'm
it
sure there was.
seems to me that a whole bunch of people gathered in the same location, and while they were in that location, the mindset of what they needed to do developed. It was not like they planned something 6 months in advance. They just came there under, like, say, Steve Bannon saying, come to the Capitol on January 6th. It will be wow. But there was no plans during the invites to come there and conquer the country. I believe that any
Exactly.
mindset like that developed once they were there. I don't believe any of them
Oh yeah.
thought that Trump would suggest, let's go to the Capitol building when they were on the planes coming out to Washington. A lot of that mindset developed once they were there unarmed. But if
Yeah.
nobody's telling you we're going to develop a coup or anything like that, you're not going to show up in Washington totally strapped, because you know how much trouble you could get in being near the
Exactly.
president, even if the president is on your side with a gun on you. So they didn't plan
Yep.
it. It just kind of
Yep.
developed.
Yeah. Well, the fact that I'm saying is that they say that these conservatives planned all this, and there was a huge insurrection and all that, and they compared it to 9/11. Are you serious? I mean,
No.
come on. There is
I don't.
no
Yeah,
comparison.
obviously with the death of 3,000 people on 9/11, it doesn't compare to 9/11, but it is a historic event. It will be talked about
I mean,
100 years from now. In regards to President Trump's whole presidency, you name the good things he did, the economy, the jobs numbers, things like, you name the bad
yep.
things he did, that folks are blaming him for, it's going to be the Capitol protest. 100 years from now, nobody's going to be talking about 3.5% unemployment rates or $2 gas. They'll still be talking about the Capitol building, though. So, as Laura Ingraham, folks like Sean Hannity, Chris Christie were telling them, you're ruining your legacy. That is part of his legacy. We can say he's responsible or not, but that Capitol protest will always be tied to that man.
Oh yeah, they definitely did that. They wrote that in history. They blamed it on
Yeah.
Trump, even though it wasn't his. And see, the thing is with our history, the problem with our history is that, I mean, I'm not against slavery and all this other stuff, but when you take down statues like Robert
You're
E. Lee
not
and
a
all this
wait,
stuff,
wait,
and
wait,
you
wait, wait. Let me give you time to clear that up. You said I am not against slavery.
no,
Was that a
no, no,
Freudian slip?
no, I said it wrong. I said I'm not for it. I'm not with that.
All right.
I don't like racism. I'm not against. I'm
Okay.
not like in that. What I'm trying to say is that when you take down pieces of history like that and you take it away from the public's eye, and they don't remember that history, they're going to live through it again. It's been proven time and time again. If you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. So all these hard times that people went through, like minorities and all that stuff, if they don't know what happened, it's going to happen again. They're going to make it happen.
Well, I got it. Then, based on taking down the statues and not knowing what happened, I have to ask you: when you look at one of those Confederate statues, and they generally have a plaque on it and they have writing on there, do you think the writing
Yeah.
on those statues is an accurate portrayal of history?
No, I don't believe that anything in our history books is an accurate portrayal.
So
They lied to
if
us.
you say if you say taking down the statue is removing history, based on your own statements, you are removing inaccurate history.
To an extent, yes, you do have a very valid point. But at the same
Yeah.
time, like, it, if people don't know what they went through, they're gonna be allowed to do it to people again. It's gonna run through the same exact system. They pit us against each other in the '60s with racism and how they gave the black man crack, and they put it on them, like, oh, the black man made this crack and they did this, and now they're turning us against the trans. They always make division in our country because that's the only thing that makes money.
Yeah,
And
I
they're
agree with that. I agree with that, but I just wanted to tackle the statue comment because, in my opinion, it's like putting up a statue of Hitler and saying he brought the German people to Volkswagen. It's a very reliable car, and it still remains one of the world's best automobiles. And putting up a statue and putting that on a plaque, that doesn't tell you the true history of that man. And that's what those statues represent. It's just a glorified portion of that individual's history without all of the
yeah,
atrocities. that they undoubtedly fought for. So I'm fine with keeping the statues up if you want to alter that plaque a little bit. Does that make sense?
I agree with that 1000%. I think that
Okay.
all of our history should be accurate, but in order for them to keep on going with their particular things that they want to do, they have to alter history because it has to go in their favor, into their narrative.
But that's what's been happening from day one. That's literally what's been happening from
Exactly.
day one, is to glorify, and as some would say, whitewash all of the Confederate involvement in our history. Is that it's been written so that these folks are looking like heroes, and all of the deaths, rapes, and killings that they're responsible for has been wiped away. Like, one of the things I point out, listen, slavery's been over for hundreds of years. I get that. But one of the things you don't hear
Yeah.
about is that for the creation of literally every single slave, it took a rape. Just like if you were to have pit bulls and you wanted to mate them, you don't give the female animal a chance to say yes or no. You bring another animal in there, you mate to make another pit bull to sell. That happened in slavery. So if you were a
Yep.
female, it's almost a guarantee that you went through multiple rapes. The Confederates fought to continue that to happen. That's not on a single
Yes,
statue,
they did.
not one statue. So I get the notion of preserving history, but the lack of accuracy is insane.
It is. It's downright disgusting, actually.
Yeah. So until they correct the history, can we get rid of the inaccurate statue?
I think that we should go back to teaching the proper history. I think that our entire education system needs to be reformed. Our political system needs to be reformed. And I think that we need to start having more transparency like they claim that they have. We need to come to a certain understanding between whether it is between both parties or just the average man that is able to understand the ability to be critical thinkers, because you have to question everything, because if you don't, they're going to run your life. And your comments, they say, who are they? The people that make the decisions, the people that pick the people that you vote for, the people that make this world turn around, the people that own this entire organization that you so call your goods, the medicine that you buy, the food that you eat, the flavors that are in your food. They are only owned by 8 organizations that own everything. You are given the false
Well, let me
representation that you have a choice.
Okay, fair enough. I gotta move it on, but I want to run this straight out the comments by you, and I'll let you give your spiel, and then I gotta move it on. In the comments, Josie Well
Okay.
2000 said, "If we teach the proper history, then they'll never put those statues back." How do you respond to that? And I gotta move it on afterwards.
If that were the case, if that history was completely wrong, definitely remove them damn statues and put the right stuff there, because we have the right to know. As a human being, as a person, we deserve to know where we came from. We deserve to know what's going to happen to us. This not telling us and giving us half truths isn't going to work, because pretty soon that the population on both sides is going to wake up and they're not going to like the outcome.
Fair enough. Gotta move it on. Awake, always a good talk. Come on back through anytime. All right, looking in the comments, pipe dreams. Education won't change. The plan is to take us stupid or make us stupid. Pick 'em poker. That is absolutely true. If you look at the way history has been taught in America, most of it is false. I mean, we still in 2023 suggesting that Christopher Columbus discovered America. Even 5-year-olds know that shit is not true by today's standards. Even elementary school children now know Native Americans being referred to as Indians is wrong. It has nothing to do with the person. The person that named them Indians happened to be fucking lost. He thought he was in India. And that name has stuck all of these years, has been stuck on these people all of these years. So, yeah, there's no denying that the way we've been taught history in this country, the pilgrims and the colonizers sat down and had a nice turkey and shit like that. Our history has been horrible. Horrible. We have been taught history in this country from a position of American exceptionalism, not from accuracy. And we're still taught that to this day. How many folks believe that America is the most free country on earth? That's bullshit. You haven't been to other countries if you believe that. So even to this day, we're still being taught information in this country That is flat out inaccurate. All right, going back to the box. Fun-E Life. Funny Life. I like it. Okay, it took me a minute to get it. Funny Life. Good afternoon. And it does not appear as if TikTok is going to cooperate here. I'll give it a second to see what the hell happens. American mythology, not history. Yeah, no shit. I've had Greek mythology, and there was two kinds of. What was the other one? I know I had Greek. Was it? I don't know, but I don't. Yeah, it is American mythology that makes it interesting. It says Army Lab says your lives are the best, bro. I take that as an honor. I appreciate that. Thank you for the compliment. For some of you folks, if this is the type of dialogue that you enjoy, the type of live that you enjoy, feel free to tap the screen. Get your boy up to 35,000 likes. Also, let me make it clear for you folks who are maybe watching this for the first time. This is a backup profile. The Handsome Liberal, spelled completely in its entirety, is my main page. If you notice, the page we're on now, the final L in liberal is missing. So I encourage you to follow that page. It has multiple times as many followers and things like that. 11:30 Central, 11:30 a.m. Central is when I'm generally on here doing the lives. And yeah, come on in. As always, this is a MAGA-friendly program, even though I lean left. The purpose of the hat. I get that in the comments every time. Why the hell do you have a MAGA hat? The same spiel, the same dialogue I give every time is this hat represents a bright light in the middle of the night to let MAGA know. Folks on the right know they are welcome here. They do not have to fear any censorship, banning, or being blocked. I solemnly believe folks on the right, particularly MAGA, do not always get a fair shake in the media. A lot of them get censored, banned, and blocked at the first sign that they support Trump or they lean right. Even though I don't lean right, I want to make it clear that your First Amendment rights, your free speech rights, will be protected in my little tiny ass corner of social media. And I'm able to engage in civilized dialogue with folks on the other side of the aisle just to show if we can do it here in this little tiny ass corner of social media, they can do the same shit in Washington. They're just not trying. So anyway, folks, as always, this is a lunch break live. I do have to return back to the salty mines and continue putting in a few hours and make a living. 11:30 a.m. Central. Feel free to follow the channel. It's your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. I got to go.